struggling to market to your ideal clientele with old branding that worked for you years ago? This branding gap is playing a huge role in your current client conversion rate, and you may not even know it. We've heard it all before. My website doesn't matter that much, or I'll get to it eventually, but years go by and yet you're still asking the same question. Why am I still working the same weddings at the same price point with no growth? So what does your current brand and website say about you? Does your copy actually captivate your ideal clientele, or are they quickly closing your site and connecting with someone else? It's time to give your brand some pampering at the Creative Cabana, your all-inclusive strategy and design studio. With over a decade of experience as wedding vendors, their full-service team knows exactly how powerful great branding can be for your business growth. Whether you need a complete brand refresh or just a touch-up with services like website design, brand identity, or copywriting, they've got you covered. And for filmmakers out there, they also specialize in logo animations so that your film can feel that much more elevated. This is something I just invested in, and it's brought an entirely new look to my films. So you poured your heart and soul into your business. Now it's time for a brand that connects with your customers on every level. Visit their website today and use our discount code WGY300 for $300 off your first project at creativecabana.co. Welcome to the We Got You podcast, a network curated for wedding photographers and filmmakers that dives deep into the strategies and tactics to transitioning a side hustle in the wedding industry into a full-time, thriving career. We're your hosts, luxury wedding filmmaker Emma K. Films and luxury destination wedding photographer Hannah Brook Photography. It wasn't too long ago that we picked up our cameras for the first time, having absolutely no idea where it would lead us. Years later, we're traveling the globe for beautiful destination weddings, built our dream lifestyles, and run multi-six-figure careers. It didn't happen overnight and it wasn't easy, but it is attainable and so worth it. And we're ready to teach you our strategies. Covering a variety of topics from both our first-hand experiences and reputable guest speakers' insights crucial for business growth, we're exploring the art of marketing within your niche, discussing effective ways to attract and retain clients, leverage social media, and build a strong online presence, and so much more. We're not shying away from talking through the challenges of the wedding industry and offering realistic solutions to navigate them successfully. We emphasize the importance of networking, establishing meaningful relationships with clients, and continuously honing one's craft to stand out in a competitive market. This is the We Got You podcast.
Hello. Happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of the We Got You podcast. I am super excited for today's episode because we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to be talking through wedding day etiquette, things that you can tangibly do and implement at your next wedding, which is so important. We've had a few people in the Facebook groups actually ask what wedding day etiquette looks like for us. And I think it's really important to talk about because there are things that everyone should be doing, regardless of whether you're in the luxury market or you're working destination weddings, regardless of your market, regardless of where you are, these should be things that you're doing for your business. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty. There was a question that was recently asked in our Facebook group. I've got my phone here. Someone asked, would love to hear any tips, thoughts, and lessons on wedding etiquette. And first and foremost, I do want to say this post was from a few weeks ago, and we had so many talented filmmakers and photographers actually go into this and post their comments. So while I agree with everything that is said here, I'm not going to go and take what they said and just rephrase it out of my mouth. So I actually think that it's really important to read some of the responses that were given by different creatives. So that way, you know their thoughts and opinions on it too. And then I also want to talk about a few that weren't mentioned that I think are really great. What is wedding day etiquette? This is, what, quote unquote, like what should I wear? How should I act? What should I talk? What are the mannerisms that I need to take with me for the wedding day? And how can I represent myself and my team and my business the best? There are lots of tangible things that you can do. So honestly, this episode definitely has a lot of gold nuggets in it. But one of the things that I want to first talk about is communicating proactively. This is something that I really, really feel is just so important in this industry because we often walk into the wedding day, especially, maybe if you're new, like when I was new, I would walk into the wedding day and I just would kind of like fly by the seat of my pants and I wouldn't know like really when to communicate. I'd be kind of nervous to communicate, especially if I was working with a vendor team that I hadn't worked with before. And maybe like I'm getting this vibe that they're very outgoing and maybe I'm feeling a little bit timid. Like I've been there, especially in the industry when I was newer. And I think that it can happen often, regardless of whether you've been in the industry for a year or whether you've been in the industry for 10 years. I think communicating proactively is something that really, really, truly has been so helpful for me. And what I mean by that is on the wedding day, really being able to kind of communicate before things happen. Granted, you have to be flexible. And I think that's another piece of wedding day etiquette is being flexible. And we'll talk about that in a second. But just being able, like for me, I will actually kind of talk through what my ceremony setup looks like with the photographer before the ceremony is even happening. I will talk through kind of how I like to go through guest portraits or couple portraits. And I let them open the floor on how they want to go about couple portraits. And then I kind of play off that. But I want to have those conversations before they happen. Now, granted, I'm not reaching out 3 months prior and being like, okay, photographer, let's go through every little detail of how we're going to film the ceremony, because I know their life is busy and my life is busy and they've got a billion other things on their plate. They're not going to remember exactly how that one videographer told them that they're going to film the ceremony. But I'm always checking in with them beforehand, just reaching out, sending an audio message. Hey, I'm super excited to work with you. I'm very flexible to work with. I can't wait to have the opportunity to work with you. And let me know if you need anything. And then when the wedding day comes, even just earlier that morning, maybe we're both location scouting, we're walking through the venue. I can just say, hey, I just want to let you know, I typically film with, 4 cameras for the wedding ceremony. And this is usually where I place all of them. But hey, if you need to go in front of any of them, don't worry about it. This is why I film on multiple cameras, which a lot of you are listening and being like, Emma, why would you say that? Why would you tell the photographer to go in front of your cameras? In this industry, we're both being hired to do the same job, and that is give our clients memories that they can have for a lifetime. They hired both of us. They didn't hire just me. They didn't hire just the photographer. I'm not going to sabotage the photographer. If the photographer goes in with the mindset that they just hired them, I'm always going to go in of, hey, how can we best get the content that we need to? And for me to do that, it is allowing them to, go in front of a camera when they need to. I've got 4 other cameras roaming. I'm fine. I can figure it out. But we're not getting into all that. What I just mean by that is being proactive, as opposed to just all of a sudden the ceremony's happening and you're trying to explain everything, or you don't have time to explain everything. And then maybe the photographer is in your way and you didn't communicate it, or you're in the photographer's way. And again, you didn't communicate it, and that's on you. So being able to communicate proactively, and photographers, I'm also talking to you too, because it's also your job to communicate with us as well and what you prefer, especially with couple portraits. I love reaching out and just saying, on the wedding day, hey, how would you like to go through couple portraits? I want to make sure that you get everything that you need to, and I can get some of the shots that I need to for movement as well. And just opening the floor to them. And those are great opportunities where it's really important that you communicate proactively with each other. So that way, not when couple portraits are happening, you've got the photographer or the videographer who's trying to direct and lead, and there's miscommunication, and then you're spending half the time talking, trying to figure out how you're going to do this, making the couple repeat poses, things like that. And all of that could have been avoided, and it looks bad to your couple. So that is the first piece of wedding day etiquette that I would say is just communicating proactively, not waiting until the moment that things happen to kind of establish what a game plan looks like. The next thing I want to do is actually read a few comments that were given by extremely talented creatives in this industry when someone asked what wedding day etiquette should they follow. First one I'm going to read is from Elaine, and she's from KEJ Productions. Incredibly talented video team. Caleb and Elaine I absolutely adore them both. Elaine said, my expectation for all those who shoot with us is dress for the job, and there's zero room for ego, and to be a kind person. I don't want to quote, obviously you can go into the Facebook group, you can read the comments and actually read out more of what they said, but obviously this podcast lives forever. So I just want to kind of point out the highlights. Dressing for your job, so important. I genuinely, if it's a black tie event, I'm going to wear a black dress. I'm going to dress to the theme that is being displayed for the guests. So if I know, hey, the color palette is spring colors and the planner wants me to wear spring colors, I'm going to dress to that occasion. If I know hey, it's a more casual event, I'm always going to dress for the job I want. And so 99% of the time, I am wearing formal attire to my weddings, whether it be for the welcome dinner or the rehearsal dinner. And that is being the market that I'm in, me dressing for the job that I want. But it's so important, regardless regardless of whether you want to match the color palette that your guests are wearing so that you blend in. Matching the vendor team is really important, or just genuinely following like the guidelines that the planner has given you. Dress for the job you want. That is a huge thing. It is like the worst when you are filming a luxury event. This is an extreme example, and you see someone who shows up in just like jeans and a t-shirt, right? Like that doesn't make sense. It just isn't good wedding day etiquette. So dress for the job you want. I always say like dress up, right? Like dress up. You don't have to wear designer clothes. I don't wear designer clothes, right? Like I get a lot of my stuff from like Abercrombie and Fitch, or I get a lot of my stuff from Zara. And I think like those platforms are really great. I've even got like really nice black dresses from Amazon, okay? And I can blend in well, and I'm dressing for the job, and that is my goal. Other thing that I want to say about that is zero room for ego and be a kind person. I cannot echo that enough because it is so easy to let your ego get in the way in this industry. I've seen it happen to so many people, and it is hard when you go into the wedding day and you want to be the person that's like, nope, I'm going to be the bigger person. Like no matter what, no matter how these vendors are, I am just going to come in with like the kindest soul. And then maybe there's something the photographer does or vice versa that just really sets you off. And then all of a sudden your ego is up, right? You're like, nope, we're going to do things my way now. I'm going to like make sure that I get everything that I need to. And I've been there. Like I've been there where I felt like that, where I'm like, no, like, oh, this like is bothering me so much. But here's the thing. This is not the time nor place to let your ego get in the way. You have to put it down. Your clients, again, like echoing what I said earlier, your clients have hired photo and video and all of these vendors because that's what they care about. They want us to give them memories that will last a lifetime. And so for me to do that, I have to recognize how important a photographer's job is, regardless of whether I work with a photographer who is like maybe just like the meanest photographer I've ever worked with versus the nicest, kindest photographer I've ever worked with. Regardless of how you're feeling throughout the day, it is not the time or place to try to just like, nope, I need to let my opinion be known and I need to let my ego get in the way and I need to just get what I need to get. I always say, no matter what, be the bigger person, be kind, be kind. And that's like, Elaine has echoed that so well through the comment that she had written, was just to be kind. And by being kind consistently, you're never letting your ego get in the way. If you can just show other people grace and think, hey, like, what can I do to help you? How can I serve you? I don't go into my conversations on the wedding day being like, hey, photographer, this is exactly what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? Right? If I ever am kind of telling them my game plan of like, hey, this is how I set up the ceremony. But just know you can go wherever you need to because I want to make sure you get all the shots that you need. For other things, it's, hey, how would you like to shoot this so that I can work around you, that I can be flexible with you? Going about it this way and just being consistently kind will pay off in more ways that you know, because it is so easy to tell when there is tension in the room. It's so easy for the planner to see. It's so easy for the clients to see. And those two people at the end of the day are the people that you genuinely need to impress the most. And the photographer as well, and vice versa. But by you letting your ego down, by communicating, and by being kind, it will genuinely pay off more than you know. And I know that there's times where you don't want to be the bigger person and you just want to get what you need to get and you just need to like be irritated. But people can read through you very, very, very quickly. And if there is tension, that is like a major no-no. And especially for me, like working in this market, no, there's not a chance in the world. Even if I was having the worst experience with a vendor, would I not be kind? Would I not have a smile on my face? Sure, like I'll go home and I'm like, oh, that was just like really rough, right? Like I'm decompressing from it, but I will never, ever be anything but kind and smiley and a genuinely happy person on the wedding weekend, regardless of what I've gone through. Like I will go home and vent it out to myself or my significant other, but I am not here on the wedding weekend to let my ego get in the way and to be anything but kind. So I think that like was such a great comment from Elaine. I second everything.
Are you tired of taking on the entire editing workload yourself? Are you tired of staring at a screen for days on end, feeling burnt out and creatively exhausted? Maybe you've been searching for an editing company for months now, but you can't seem to find one that can truly mimic the high-end quality of films you're looking for to deliver to your clients. If this sounds like you, we couldn't be more excited to introduce to you our friends at Wonderlust Videos. Wonderlust Videos is a post-production service for wedding filmmakers with over 10 years of experience and has served over 700 clients to date. Their full team specializes in seamless and high-quality editing for wedding filmmakers who need to take the workload off their shoulders and trust someone to create a high-end edit. As you know, we're incredibly picky about the partners we work with and the tools and resources we recommend to other photographers and filmmakers. With that being said, I myself, Emma, have gone through the process firsthand to use Wonderlust videos myself and vet their entire process so that I can recommend them to you today with confidence. Wonderlust videos can edit your highlight films, social media teasers, doc edits, and so much more. Their team edits on Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, so it's time to get the help you need and start outsourcing today. You can start with Wonderlust videos right now at wonderlust-videos.com and use our code WGY10 for 10% off your first project.
Does your current client delivery system feel unexciting, limiting, and boring? Maybe you're still using good old Google Drive or Dropbox to deliver your clients' wedding films. If the answer to these is yes, it's time to level up your video delivery experience with VidFlow. VidFlow is a pay-per-use online platform that allows you to deliver fully branded websites for each of your clients. While being incredibly affordable, VidFlow is accessible on mobile, desktop, and smart TVs with included long-term hosting so that your clients can truly enjoy the entire experience when receiving their wedding films. When I first found VidFlow, it was such an easy switch that truly benefited my business substantially. With so many incredible features and options for customization and personalization, VidFlow continues to wow my clients time and time again. You can find VidFlow on Instagram or visit their website at vidflow.co. Use our code WGY20 for 20% off a yearly premium membership and level up your client experience today with VidFlow.
Something that is really important is just being able to hype up your couple to any guest that you see. And someone actually put this in the comments, I believe. They said, Ashley Lyons said, when guests come up to speak to you, use those moments to share how amazing the couple in the wedding is and how you're so grateful to be there capturing it. I love that. I love that because maybe that's not necessarily an actual tip of wedding day etiquette, but no, it is, because when you have guests coming to talk to you, this is the opportunity for you to just show how excited that you are, how happy you are. You never know what, one, you should just do it to be a kind human because you're actually excited to be there on the wedding day, right? But you never know what guest could come talk to you that could potentially have a client for you later on down the road. You never know where that could lead you. And so you need to take every single guest experience that you have, guest conversation that you have, take that time to just hype up your couple, to let them know that you're so excited to be here, how much you adore the couple, how beautiful the wedding day is. I love when guests walk up to me and I can just be this wedding is so beautiful. I want to make them feel like they are just at the best event of the world. That's so important. Next thing that I want to talk about is actually a comment that Kathleen Hamilton made. And I love this comment. She said, monitor your conversations and don't think that just because someone else is a vendor that they are quote unquote on your side. Yes, cannot echo this enough. When you're on the wedding day, yes, there are going to be things that frustrate you. Yes, there are going to be things that confuse you, that maybe will agitate you. No wedding day, no wedding weekend is perfect. I've been in that situation many of times. However, never, ever, ever, ever put yourself in a conversation where you are going to talk drama. I have had planners come to me and talk drama, and I 100%, I will listen. I think maybe some people disagree with this. I'm not the person that's going to be I don't want to talk about it, right? Especially if a planner's talking to me. But I will just sit and listen and nod my head and observe and that's it. I'm never going to get into any of the drama. And again, especially if it has something to do that revolves around your business, you never know where that could get you. And no drama is going to help your business in any way, regardless of whether you're oh my gosh, the planner totally agrees with me, the couple agrees with me. No, handle it yourself. Don't get other vendors involved on the wedding day because it just shows that, oh, this is a vendor that is revolved around drama. And maybe it's the teeniest, minute, littlest situation. But obviously, if it's frustrated you enough to go talk to someone about it and to start getting into drama, that's not a good sign. So whatever's going on, handle it, whether it be with yourself or whatever you need to do. But getting other people involved in a sense of just talking drama with them, maybe there are situations where you need other vendors to get involved to help you for something, right? That's different. But if you're just going to someone to talk drama because maybe they think you think that they're on your side, or you're listening from it secondhand, like, don't engage yourself. Don't be someone that is revolved around drama. This wedding industry can be full of drama, and it's so important to not get caught up in that, especially when you are facing clients, when you're facing guests, when there are other vendors in the room. Don't be associated with any of that. It's not good. Another great comment that someone had said, let's see, Cherish Conklin, she is with Le Rev Films. Again, I adore Cherish and Lindsay. Truly, her rules were also great as well. No running, keep your equipment hidden, and look for ways to help vendors that you're working with. I think, obviously, great keeping your gear hidden. This was something, honestly, like, I genuinely didn't think about for quite a while when I was like starting to like kind of get in the high end market. And it's one of those like, yeah, no brainer. Like, I'm never going to just like have my gear like in someone's chair or something like that. I, for the most part, would keep it tucked, but it really, like, I learned very quickly, like, no, I need to keep my gear like completely out of sight. And so genuinely making sure that all of your gear is always hidden, that you don't have a tripod just laying around out in front of guests. Like, think when a guest walks into a room, like when I walk into a room and I want to take a cool iPhone video, I don't want to see 3 tripods that are just sitting there when they could have been put away, right? Same thing for guests. These guests aren't thinking, like, they're not going to be like, oh, why is that tripod there, right? Like, they're just grabbing the video, but that's not what they paid for. Your clients didn't pay to have your gear around throughout their reception and their ceremony. And so obviously there's definitely situations where like your gear has to be out because you're using it. But if you're not using your gear, if it doesn't have a valid reason to be out, it needs to be hidden. And even thinking about like, hey, maybe I need to like set my gimbal down and like run and go grab something. Being really intentional about, no, my gimbal either needs to come with me or I need to completely tuck it in an area that isn't seen. It is not okay for me to just leave my gimbal on a table, to leave my drone on a table, to like run into the back room to go grab something. Not okay. It's really important that we keep our gear hidden from guests. And then the last one mentioned was looking for ways to help vendors. So great. Again, this is part of the communicating proactively, but just to like check in. I love getting to go to my wedding days and just like consistently with the planner, just being like, hey, is there anything that you need? Is there anything that you need from me? Or even just checking in with them in a sense, maybe not even like necessarily seeing like, hey, like what can I do for you? But also just like reassuring them, like the footage that I've gotten today has been beautiful, hyping them up, because then that makes them just so much more excited. Maybe they've brought you onto this wedding and it really is validating your presence being there. But I love getting to go up to planners and just say like, hey, the footage that I got today has been so beautiful. I'm so excited. Maybe I'll show them a back of the camera thing if they have like a moment. Usually maybe not with the lead planner, but like if the associate's there. I want every single interaction that I have with the vendor to be positive. Even in the moments where like we're stressed, we're trying to figure something out, maybe something's not going the way that it should be, I still want to be positive. I still want them to know that like, hey, I'm here to help you however I can, and I make that known. And that's really, really important, especially when you're working with new vendors, you're working with vendors that you've been like dying to work with, or you've been working with vendors who have given you a solid amount of business. You want that relationship to continuously be positive, whether that's offering for like, what can you do to help them, or just reassuring them that what you've gotten, the photos, the film, like it's been absolutely beautiful. Because I know for me, like it's so reassuring to know that, hey, like the team that I have, like they're crushing it. And they verbally told me that. Like that's great. That's a great feeling. The last thing that I want to talk about is just being flexible. This is something that I think is so important, especially in the luxury market and the high-end market. You really, really have to be flexible. There's so much work that I do on the back end for weddings proactively that I do before the wedding day. Like a lot of the work that I do is before the wedding day. However, when I show up for the wedding weekend, I'm very aware that things change, and things change all the time, right? It's my job to be flexible. I cannot be in my own way. I cannot be hindering anyone. Obviously, in an ideal world, every single vendor would love for the wedding day to go perfect. That's everyone's goal, but it just doesn't happen. And so I, as the videographer, or, you know, for you as the photographer or whoever, we need to be flexible in working the wedding weekend, because we again want to show our clients that, we're just so happy to be there. We don't want to show them any tension. And so while things may not go as planned, just know that that's okay. I am definitely someone who loves to be in control. I'm a perfectionist, but when it comes to working a wedding weekend, I have to be able to work on the fly. I have to be able to be flexible and adaptable and to know in my situation, okay, what can I do to help the photographer? What can I do to help the planner? And a lot of the times that is just by me being confident in my own work and what I'm doing in that moment. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. So yeah, I think that plays along with like the not letting your ego get in the way, is just like being able to be flexible and work on the fly, because those things happen and you'll learn that very quickly. I learned that very quickly. Like every wedding that I did when I was like starting to get in the high end market taught me something about, hey, I need to be flexible here and here. There's multiple ways that weddings are run. Planners do not all operate the same. I'm sure you all know that, but it's important that we learn how to be adaptable to any situation that happens on the wedding day. So all that to say, I hope this episode was helpful for any of you. And again, like just to quote the people who wrote those comments in the Facebook group, Cherish from LaRev Films, Kathleen Hamilton, Ashley Lyons, Elaine from KEJ Productions, and there were many other comments in there as well. And I really highly encourage you to read them. I am not going to be that person that's going to like take all those and then all of a sudden claim that they're all mine. I agree with every single one of them, and obviously like adding other ones as well that I think are really, really important. But I highly encourage you, go check it out. If you've got any questions about wedding day etiquette, put it in our Facebook group, ask us questions. We are here genuinely to help you. And I hope you enjoyed listening to another episode of the We Got You podcast.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the We Got You podcast. We would absolutely love it if you could take an extra minute to leave us a review and let us know what you think. DM us a screenshot of it and we'll send you a coffee on us. If you want access to an exclusive community, rad freebies, giveaways, and wedding referrals, then join our Facebook group today. Also, if you aren't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you're following along on Instagram at WeGotYou_podcast to stay up to date. We'll see you next week on the We Got You podcast.